by email. Just need your email. Please use the chat box to ask any of your questions. And make sure you use the question mark at the end of your question. It just makes it easier when we go back through the chat box to realize what are questions. And always appreciate it when you turn on your video and camera if you have that available. It's always so nice to see everyone. It's a long time, and all of you are probably getting so ready to start school. I actually talked to a school yesterday that had already started yesterday. And I was talking with the bookkeeper, and she said it couldn't have went any better, and that the kids were so excited to see everyone, and it just was a very good first day of school. Then as another reminder, please mute your microphone during the presentation. And what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about food service considerations, and who better to tell you about those considerations than a panel of your peers. So we have some great guests that are joining us today that will be talking about their planning for back to school. We're going to have a breakout session where you are going to join some groups. It's going to be about 10 minutes long, just an opportunity for you to talk between yourselves about what challenges you're facing and what you're doing to overcome those. We're going to talk about information you need to know, administrative reminders, back to school food service considerations. Sarah's going to join us for some information on farm to school, and of course at the end we will have time for question and answer. So let's get started with our panel of peers. And we are so fortunate to have the following individuals joining us today. They agreed to share what some of their planning has been in planning for back to school. And some of the questions I asked them if they would talk about menu and ordering changes they need to make, and personal protective equipment for staff, what are they planning for? So let me introduce the panel to you. Sue Bombeck is from Shelton Public Schools, and I've included the enrollment of the school, and their enrollment is 280. Mary Finnegan from Boyd County Schools, which is kind of an interesting school district in that it encompasses 3 different towns, 3 different feeding sites in 3 different towns. So Spencer has a feeding site, Lynch has a feeding site, and Butte has a feeding site. So how Mary has coordinated back to school food service for 3 sites in 3 different towns. So Paula Wagner from St. John's Catholic School in Lincoln is joining us, enrollment of 385. And Judy Pullman from Wayne Public Schools is joining us. And Judy has 3 different feeding sites, an elementary, a middle high school, and an early learning site. And their enrollment is 975. Carrie Nielsen from Ashland Greenwood has 2 different feeding sites, an elementary school, middle high school, and they have an enrollment over 1,015.
Hey, I got some for you.
From Crete Public School is joining us, and Crete, early on in COVID, because they have a meat packing plant located in town, it was kind of a hot spot for COVID cases, and how she navigated all of that during the summer food service program, and now how she's preparing for back to school. Jody has 3 or 4 different feeding sites. She has elementary school, intermediate school, middle school, and high school. And their enrollment is.
Have they been emailing you any of the new weird requirements?
I'm on this meeting right now, and so no, it's okay. When I called the state yesterday,
Mute.
and she finally got back to me when I got home last night.
That would be great. We can.
And I said, "What are some of the guidelines?" Well, she said, "Get on this thing. Hopefully, there was other schools."
If we can mute, that would be great. Thank you. So let's go ahead and get started with Sue. Sue, would you tell us what you have done to plan for back to school?
Well, I had to hire a new person. I had one person leave me last year, and I got somebody hired this morning. We start next week. Yeah, I can sleep now. I brought in some more plexiglass sneeze guard to cover the entire serving area. We've refigured the kitchen because we don't have a hot holding facility. We batch cook. And so we have to kind of figure that one out yet too, but it's getting there. I've talked to the janitors. They have ordered in some COVID-19 appropriate sanitizer that we're going to use at our food grade, so it can be used in the cafeteria. And we've set up a schedule of how they're going to clean and how I'll come in and clean before school starts every morning, because we can't guarantee who's been in the school building throughout the evening. As far as ordering, my distributors, Cashway and US Foods, have been very good about letting me know what they have available for like gloves and the separate eating containers for like our chef salads, because we won't be able to have our salad bar anymore. So we're going to change that up a little bit. We'll be wrapping our own silverware, kind of have that in place. And the principals are going to help with handing out the milk and the juice for all the meals. So yeah, I said everybody's coming together. It's been a very positive attitude. I'm hoping that we can keep it up for the kids and for ourselves, because it could get long, but.
Right. So will they be eating in the lunchroom, or will they be eating in classrooms, or how will you be serving the students?
Okay, they will be eating in the lunchroom. The elementary will eat in the actual cafeteria area. We have a new commons area that the high school and junior high will be eating in. And we are setting that up so that they can drop their trays and silverware up that they've used on a white table in containers. And as far as the kids coming through the line, we're going to mark the floors with blue painter's tape so far apart so that they can do that. And as they go down the line, they'll still be able to do offer versus serve, because we'll have different choices. It'll all be behind the sneeze guard, and we'll put it on the trays, and we're also putting their silverware on the tray for them. And then the principal will put on their milk or whatever. So, you know, it's hopefully it goes as smoothly in reality as it has in my head. I don't guarantee that. But we all know how that goes, and we just have to be flexible.
You will make it go to it. Yes, you have to be flexible, and great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Mary. Mary, are you with us? Can you join us now and tell us about what your plans are?
Okay. I'm glad that you think my situation is interesting, because I think it's challenging, but we are working through it. We have decided to order some plastic sporks to use in place of silverware to start the school year with. However, I did find today, last week, I know we talked about the bags to put silverware in, and I did find you can get those from Cashway. So that's a consideration maybe when we get through with the sporks that I have ordered. We are going to social distance by class. First of all, I should say, we've only had one active case up here in Boyd County, so we're not nearly as serious as some of the rest of you are. However, we are going to still take a certain amount of precautions. We are going to social distance by class when they come through the lunch line. So the 5th grade will come, and then we'll have a break, and then the 6th grade will come, and then we're going to keep one empty lunch table in between the 5th grade class, their tables that they have to sit on, and then there'll be an empty table, and the 6th grade, and then we will have to go out and sanitize those tables after the 5th grade are finished, before, say, the 10th grade comes in, or however that works out to be. So we have that. We are going to have bottled water available, but we have the filling stations at all our water fountains. The fountains will be covered, but the filling stations will be open. So we will give the kids a bottle of water in the morning, and then they have to refill that bottle all day long, so that we don't find half of bottles of water sitting all over the school like we did. Luckily for us, there is still a large supply of bottled water available from when we had the flooding last year. And so we are going to be able to use all that without having to purchase water, which is kind of a nice thing. The kids are not going to be required to wear masks, but we are required to wear them in the kitchen. So we will have masks and all that kind of precaution on. We are going to try to bag our salads and carrots and things like that, so that they will still be available to be handed out for the kids, but they should go faster than us just handing out lettuce. We'll just give them a bag, so it'll go quicker. We're going to cup all of our fruit. We're going to cup all of our ranch so that we can hand that out. And we too the school has given us all the paraeducators at our disposal should we need them to help serve lunch. So it's kind of what we have in place here.
Great. That's great to have your paraeducators available to assist.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Paula. Paula, would you like to tell us what St. John's has in store for food service considerations? Okay, Paula may be joining us late, so let's move on down to Judy. Judy, are you with us?
Yes. My thought is, when you have a family gathering, everyone congregates in the kitchen, because kitchen is where mom is, and it's safe, and it's like the comfort. So my plan is that when the kids enter the kitchen, it's the comfort zone. No matter how stressful the day is, no matter what's going on behind the scenes. And as we know, when we did the COVID feeding, it was a total change. And it's almost like how we served 20 years ago, that the tray's going down the line, only now it'll be disposable and everything will be prepackaged that we're putting on their tray, and then handing the kids the tray. We're going to use disposable silverware. And this is, for us, really all new, because we're very much the trays and the silverware and doing the dishes. So it's kind of a change there. We're going to be very flexible. And if on next Thursday when we start, we have to change something, we change. And it's going to be a learning curve, and it's going to be hard for some staff that it's not ABC like it's always been. We may be going A to Z and back to B some days. We also send food to Tower School, St. Mary's, and Head Start. And St. Mary's has opted that we're going to pre-package everything. Usually we send it in bulk and they dish it up. This year we're going to pre-package it, and then they'll deliver it to the classroom. Some of our the K-6 building is going to eat in the lunchroom, in the gym. They're trying to spread them out. That's a very crowded little room anyway. And so we're going to use a lot of disposable. They may be eating and they're taking it and eating in their classroom. They're trying to keep the kids like a family. So if someone does break out with COVID, that only that small group is exposed. Masks are required for everybody that walks into one of the buildings. So that's kind of the plan as of today.
Great. I'm sorry I left out that you transport or been to 3 different locations. That's another complexity of planning. And it's the 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Paula, I see that you have joined us. Would you like to tell us about what your plans are for St. John's?
Yeah, I was talking away, but I didn't know I was muted still. We're gonna do a lot of it like we do with our smaller kids because, you know, as they come through, you get the deer in the headlight looks right off the bat. So we serve them everything. So we're gonna do that with the older kids too, except that instead of our salad bar now, we're gonna have 2 tables parallel and we're gonna serve our salad bar to them. I'll have 2 women inside so that the kids can get through faster. There's social distancing by class in our school, or like Judy said, by family. They're considering it family, so we're doing that. And as of yesterday, I was gonna have 4 kids per side of the table and scatter them. Only now I found out that they're just gonna do 6 on one side and only do one side of the table. So we're still very fluid on what they're planning on doing. I also had to hire 1 extra person just to get through this because we're gonna try and use our regular silverware and trays. Otherwise, I think that's about it.
How about personal protective wear for your staff?
Oh, everybody has to wear
masks.
masks and gloves, and you know, like we always do.
Okay. Okay. Super. Carrie, are you with us? Would you like to tell us what you're going to be doing at Ashland Greenwood?
Yep. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, you know, we're in that tier 1 or that green, yellow, so the low to moderate. And so we are going back pretty much normal, which doesn't mean normal for us because we are going to be like everybody else has been saying, you know, handing everything out, putting it on their trays. We will, without the fruit and veggie bar, we will be cupping and having some different options for our students so they can opt for other items other than just what's on the menu, you know, so we can still do that offer versus serve. One thing, we're not gonna even have them do their pin pads because we still use the pin pads. So that's given a little extra work for us too, because we will be, I'm trying to get class lists down by teachers, which isn't hard in the elementary schools, but for middle school, high school, where they're switching around, I just got to make sure I get the right classes that are coming into lunch at the right periods. And we'll just be marking them off, and then we will be inputting those numbers as we get the time at the end of the day. We just feel like that's the best because the less our students can touch as they're coming through our area, the better we feel about that. We will be wearing face masks, face shields during serving. Supposed to be getting some extra plexiglass at our POS site. And we will probably be having the help of paras at our elementary school to help with like condiments, as long as they're wearing gloves and everything and masks. And then at the high school, we will probably be pre-portioning, or if possible, I will get condiment packets of items. But just along the lines of what everybody else is doing, just kind of following those same guidelines, you know. And then if we go to that next tier or the orange tier, then that does change things dramatically for us because we will be serving 3 different models. We will have 50% of our students in the school, and of that 50%, half of them will be eating in the cafeteria, which will be kindergarten, 2nd grade, 4th grade. And so then first, 3rd, and 5th will be serving them in the classroom. And then we still will be sending meals home for our students that will be at home. So that one will be a little challenging. That will be interesting, but we'll make do. And one of the things I've decided that if we do go to that next level is that for everybody that's eating at school, like at the elementary school, since we'll be feeding in the classroom, well, and the high school, is everything will be served in like a container. Hopefully I'll be able to get those containers and serve it, because then that way it's all the same that way. And my girls will just be able to dish, and we'll be able to serve out and everything. And our paras will be helping with that. So back to school meeting, we'll be talking a lot about what the plan is with the different stages too. So anything else?
No, you did a great job. It sounds like you're thinking ahead. It's great you're going back in the green, yellow, but it does raise a whole new level of complexity when we start talking about the next level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Okay, Jody, I hope you're with us and tell us what's planned for Crete. Probably in a meeting.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm here. So I have written my menus. I could not tell you how many times, but I finally, this week, I'm done. My staff, once they're here, they will figure out how to get it to work. So I'm putting it in their hands. I'm over it. But basically with my menus is I streamlined everything, and we will add options as we can rather than to go full bore in the beginning and then have to take something away, because that doesn't ever go very well with the students. So for instance, at my high school, we usually have like 13 options, and we're going to start more like 8 or 9. And then I think we'll be able to up that as we go. So the big one probably for us is we won't have any of the build-a-bars, because there's just not going to be time for that kind of thing. So that's not going to go over well with the students, but we'll get them by it. So in our tiers, when we're in green, everything is cupped and lidded, and it can be on a fruit and vegetable bar and they can grab it. But in yellow, we have to serve it, including milk, the trays, they grab, the whatever. So we're just trying to figure out how we're going to get that all behind the serving line. And then if we should go to orange, our meals will just be bagged and put out in the cafeteria, and the kids will grab it and go sit down and eat. So we plan to open in yellow, and I hope we stay in yellow. So, well, I'd like to go to green, but I just don't know that that's going to happen. So for us, we are getting rid of the regular school lunch trays, and I'm getting these trays like a lot of a la carte places use. And then, so this is what the kids will get served on. For our items that are like homemade, we have these little trays coming in, and we'll put like, for instance, a chicken Alfredo will go in here and a hot vegetable, and then we have a machine that will seal it closed, and then we'll serve them this. And then if we have a sandwich with that, we'll just wrap the sandwich, so they'll get those choices, and then that'll go on the tray. And then as far as like fruit and vegetables, of course, we'll cup them. Salad, we found out last year, if kids can't see salad, they will not take it. So we have these little clear containers that we're going to use. And I really feel like packaging is going to be the make it or break it for us. So we're going to try and have a little bit of fun when we have like the sweet and sour chicken. I'm going to get Chinese takeout little boxes to put that in, because the kids will find that fun. So we're going to try and sell it to them that way. I'm going to get cutlery sets from Cisco that are already wrapped. Condiments, in the lower grades, a para will go around and squeeze out condiments. At the upper grades, we're going to have like a condiment cart that will go out, and whatever they want, then we'll give it to them. We will probably portion most of that rather than do packets, because the kids will make bombs out of those packets, and we don't want that happening. And as far as staffing, I heard a few people talk about staffing, and I'm actually down just one, and I'm going to wait and see what happens, because if we go to a hybrid situation and our participation drops, I mean, we'll obviously offer meals, but will they take them when they have to pay for them? So I'm just kind of going to flow a little bit, which I have a lot more staff than some people do, so I can probably do that. But until we know what participation will be like, I just can't hire somebody not knowing how long I'll have them. So any questions for me?
Great. Beth, are there any questions in the chat box that our panelists can address?
Not right now.
Okay. If you have any questions for our panelists, please enter them in the chat box or just unmute your mic and ask your questions now. We've gotten some really good information from our 6 food service directors. So really appreciate you taking the time and helping us think through the plans for going back to school food service wise. It sounds like you shared some really good ideas. So if you have any questions, please enter them, and now would be a great time to ask.
Dawn, it's Linda Skalka from Sandy Creek. I was just wondering, hi, is anyone going to attempt a la carte? We take cash. We cannot put it on their lunch account.
Okay. Repeat what you just said. I'm sorry, I might have interrupted you.
Okay, I was just wondering, is any school going to do a la carte for their high school? And if so, are they going, we have to take cash. We cannot put it on their account. I was just curious if anyone else was going to do that.
This is Sue from Shelton. We're still going to do our grab and go snack breakfast time in mid-morning for junior high and high school kids. We will serve them the food, and I will be the only one taking the money because I won't be touching any of the food because we also have to go with cash. But the administration did not want to give that up, and I said, fine, but I have to be the only one touching the cash.
Great, thank you, Sue, for
Perfect. That was exactly what I was going to do. Thank you.
Now, I understand, Jody, you kind of raised your hand, and Carrie, you did too, that you are selling a la carte.
Yeah, I'm going to try. It's going to be very, very limited because like Jody was saying too, I want to start out small so I don't have to take things away. So I'm just going to start out with a few things. I usually have quite a bit, but yeah, and we don't have to take money. They can use their accounts. Their money is on their account already. So that's what's different for us too, is we don't have to have somebody taking the money. So, but yeah, very limited what we're going to do.
Jody, anything to add?
I think we'll probably just push hot items just because that'll be wrapped and ready to go anyway before we start trying to bring back chips and other fruit snacks and that stuff. And we don't have that cash problem either.
Good question. Thank you for asking it. Any other questions for our panelists?
I have a question. What about like a smart snack vending machine? Are those allowed?
Those are allowed as long as you have someone that will be monitoring them often and wiping them down and disinfecting them. But so far they have not banned those. If we get into the orange or the red, they may ban them. But right now, you can use them as long as they're washed and disinfected periodically.
Thank you, Beth. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on. Sorry. Breakout groups. We are going to send you to a breakout group to share your plans for back to school. And so Zoom will send you to your breakout rooms. We've asked our panelists, and also we have Kate Murphy and Julie French. Kate Murphy is with Kearney Public Schools and Julie French is from Arlington Public Schools. And we've asked them to help coordinate the breakout rooms. So you may have one of our panelists or Julie or Kate in your room. And we want you to talk amongst yourselves, and if you have any questions that weren't answered or addressed in your chat rooms, please enter those into the chat box. Use a question mark at the end, and we will try and answer those questions at the end of today's Zoom. And we just want you to share, you know, what are you doing at your school to plan for back to school? So Allie's in charge of sending everyone to their breakout rooms, and so I will let her do her magic, and we will see you in about 10 minutes.
Hey everyone, you should be sent to a room. Like Sean said, we'll be in there for 10 minutes, and then there'll be a 2-minute countdown as we're getting close to the 10 minutes. Okay?
Are we leaving the breakout room now?
Yes, we did leave it.
What happened to share my screen here? Hold on. There we go. Okay. And we will address any questions that you entered into the chat box at the end of the presentation today. And the next thing I want to talk about is information you need to know. The next Serving Up Great School Meals is planned for August 12th, which is next Wednesday at 2 p.m.
John, I don't see your screen.
You don't?
Does anyone else? I do not.
I don't either.
Okay.
Okay, well, I have no idea what I just did. So I apologize. Now,
I see you, Sean.
do you see my screen?
Your face.
Do you see a presentation?
No.
No.
Sorry about that. I was just there. I'm hitting present and it's loading. Do you see anything now?
Try resharing on the Zoom screen. Or would you like me to try?
Let me try. I am so sorry.
There it goes.
Well, there that is, but where would like the presentation be? I apologize. I am going to be practicing all weekend on this so that I get better. I don't know what happened to it from the breakout room. Well, so the next Serving Up Great School Meals is August 12th at 2 o'clock. And we will be addressing concerns. That's a week from today. And then we do need your input on how frequently you would like these meetings to be and what day of the week you would like these meetings to occur on. And so, Allie, are you able to launch the polling question or is that up to me here? Am I sharing a screen?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just loading really slow. I'll go ahead and launch the poll. We have 2 poll questions for you guys. If you would just take a moment and answer them, that would be great. I think we have a few more yet to answer.
Are the slides showing now?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much for answering those questions. We do want to know what you think about the frequency, because I know once school starts, and for some of you, school has already started, your availability isn't the same as it was in the weeks leading up to school that we've been meeting. Also want to talk to you about the next session of HACCP, the introduction to HACCP sessions that Beth Haas from our office is conducting. Part 2 is scheduled for August 13th from 1 to 2:30 Central Standard Time. As a reminder, this training is the basic introduction to HACCP, which stands for Hazardous Analysis Critical Control Points. And every school and facility is required to have a HACCP plan if they participate in the school meals program. So this is a great refresher training for those of you that already have your HACCP plans. For those of you that are new, you need to make that HACCP plan your own HACCP plan. So please plan to attend this training. Want to talk to you about the Produce Safety Summer Series. The 3rd webinar will be next Tuesday. It's a 4-part webinar series, and so we're in week 3 coming up. And each session requires individual registration, and so we've included that link to registration on the slide, and also a reminder that if you've never visited the Institute for Child Nutrition.org, there are so many great resources out there, and there are some very nice resources from Produce University that are available at this website. Administrative reminders, you need to complete your school year 2021 school meals application in CMP, which is our web-based program for application and claims. Now, many of you probably don't have responsibility for this, but hey, if you see that bookkeeper that is responsible, just remind them that their application is due by April 15th, which is quickly approaching. Enter, and also remind them to enter in their food safety inspections that were received last year in school year 1920. Just a reminder that these are ones from last year that are entered in. The deadline for submitting this report, which is in the CMP system, it's submitted online, is October 15th. But yeah, it's information from last year. It can be done now. And a reminder about direct certification list. Private schools, please upload your current enrollment. Public schools, advisor opened August 1st. And if you want the most accurate information with the most current enrollment for your school, then we need to have the most current information to match with Health and Human Services database for assistance programs. The fresh fruit and vegetable program applications have all been reviewed, and we are just waiting from USDA for the release of the amount of funds awarded to Nebraska so that we know how many schools that applied for the fresh fruit and vegetable program can be funded. So we're on just a holding pattern right now until we receive that information. And as a reminder, if you have a new food service manager, claim contact, or authorized representative, that information, their information needs to be entered into the school meals application. Make sure that you mark the box in the application packet that that person is new. That is how we know they are new, is by marking that box that says new. And then, of course, notifying our office if you have any of these folks that are new. We do have training available at the Office of Nutrition Services website. It's under training. The first bullet on the page is the bookkeeping training that is being updated. We hope to have all sessions of it updated by next week. Well, next week is when it will be updated. And then the school meals program 2020 annual training, there's information that has been updated at that link for our food service managers. Donna, I will help you with your slides, and I will let you talk about food service considerations for school year 2020.
Thank you very much, Sean, and hello, everybody. Here we are again. The weeks fly by, don't they? We're going to remind you one more time, at least one more time, I guess. If you're like me, you need to be reminded several times. But the fact that offer versus serve, as we know, has always been optional for grades K through 8 and mandatory only for grades 9 through 12 at lunch. And we do know that there is a USD waiver that it basically allows schools to elect to not require offer versus serve for grades 9 through 12 at lunch. However, you have to bear in mind, excuse me, I have a scratchy throat today. If you do utilize this waiver, all food components and the required portion sizes must be served. So that's a very important point to remember. And I've been asked by a few people, where do I get this waiver? It's a waiver that is a nationwide waiver that you can elect to use. You don't have to apply for it. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to look at this slide before I take you to the web and show you a few places on the web that we want to look at. We'll look at some resource documents on our homepage and then also go to Launch Nebraska and look at some important information. So Sean, do you want to quit sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Hey, awesome, good job, that was quick. Okay, let's go to my screen here. And this is the Nutrition Services homepage, as you well know. And I always want to show you that when waivers come out, and it could be that more waivers will be coming, we don't know. And by the way, this morning, I just couldn't help it. Somebody asked me for a waiver and I did this. So I'm the waiver that you get, aren't you lucky? Anyway, lots of waivers out there now, but more may be coming. So you can always come to our homepage here at Nutrition Services and click on CNP waivers at a glance. And that will take you to a list that has been compiled with some really basic, easy to understand information about the waivers. And so if we scroll down, basically that we have a lot of FAQs, frequently asked questions about waivers, documentation, and then we get to the part of the page that, whoops, and I just, there you go, trying to move my picture up so I can see this myself. The Serving Up Great School Meals webinar series, this is where they are housed. The most recent webinar will be up and live, but you can also see the previous webinars. They are in this list along with some PowerPoint slides and some of the Q&A documents and discussion documents. And I know that it seems like sometimes people ask the same questions over, or you forget the answer to the question. If it's in the middle of the week between webinars, you might want to check out some of these discussions and search them for keywords, and you may be able to find your answer. So we're posting everything here, and I apologize, I'm late getting the document from last week posted. It's actually ready to send off to Jenna to be approved and should be posted here within the next 2 or 3 days. So that's where they're housed. Okay, excuse me. Now let's go to Launch Nebraska. And I know you've seen this page many times before, but we just want to draw your attention to the conditions for learning section right up here. You click on that. And then it comes up with supporting considerations in some different areas. And of course, here are the nutrition services supporting considerations. It will download as a Word document. That's of course going to come up on my other screen here. So we'll move it over so you can see it. There we go. And again, this is it's a lengthy document, but it still may be helpful to some of you because it's asking questions. It's saying, have you considered this? Have you considered that? So it might be something that you would want to go through, especially if all of a sudden your superintendent says, well, you're not serving in the cafeteria, you're serving in the classroom. So you can go down to the section that talks about serving in the classroom. And that might give you some ideas about what kinds of things you need to be thinking about, because it's important to have some guidance in these areas, or if you're all of a sudden you're at take-home heels again. So what are some things that you may need to consider? So that's what Launch Nebraska, and that's what it's all about. And then we want to get my screen sharing. If I stop sharing, then we need to have slides again. Sean, if you want to share your screen again. I don't think she wants to share her screen, guys. I think she's being very possessive of her screen. Hey, there you go. Wow. Hey, awesome. Okay, so if you're going to go down, yeah, one more. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I think maybe it was 2-3 weeks ago, Mandy Carney was on the webinar and gave us a ton of great information. And we put together a Q&A document that is posted on the Nutrition Services homepage from that information. But also, they are releasing, this is where she is housed in DHHS, the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy. Mandy and her colleagues have come up with some frequently asked questions for food service professionals. And you folks were very helpful because this is based on the questions you asked. We were given this document yesterday to proof. I believe it has to be approved, go through the appropriate approval channels, and then we will be sending it out to all of you. And there's some really good information on there, really comprehensive information about salad bars and other things that you have asked. So I know it's another document, but this gives you clear guidance on some of these issues. And I think it's very important. Beth, do you have anything to add about this?
No, you did a great job on that.
Oh, I have to work with Beth later today. She's just buttering me up. Okay, well, so as always, you know, if you have any questions about anything, let us know. And I believe that is Sarah next. Sarah, oh, I want to talk about this pretty slide.
I might let you, Donna, if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Wanted to give you a quick update, some good news that we are fully on board and ready to announce that the Nebraska Crunch Off, in collaboration with the Mountain Plains Crunch Off, is ready for registration. So we'll put this link to the Survey Monkey. You see that link at the bottom left corner. We'll put that link in the chat box and we can share it out. You'll also find it on our website. But in 2019, Nebraska did win the Mountain Plains Crunch Off against 8 other states. And we want you guys to help us do that again to give us a morale boost during these challenging times. So I do get to present the fun stuff here, but we'd like to defend that championship this year. And so just a real quick overcap that we are inviting you to find, to locate, to celebrate local produce that's crunchable. So apples are a really great way to do that. They might not be available across the state, so feel free to reach out to your local connections for a different produce item, like salad turnips would be really fun, I think, or carrots could be really good. And we plan to be crunching here at the Department of Education remotely, probably, or possibly in person on October 22nd. you're welcome to choose that date or any day that really realistically works for your school. And that is happening in October, which is the month for National Farm to School Month and Nebraska Farm to School Month. So we want to hear that crunching happening across the state to just give us some good energy. So we do need you, in order for us to be counted, we do need you to register. We'll make sure and share all the sites, the districts, the folks that are participating in this. We'll pull together a nice graphic and we'll have that available on our website later in the month. So again, registration is now open. We're competing against 8 states. And so this is open beyond the school walls. If you're doing remote learning, then you're welcome to share this information with families, to be doing at home, to be providing the products, and maybe a couple of pieces of material that we'll have some resources available on our website in the coming weeks. But this stuff can happen at home too, involve those families. So despite the circumstances, we see a lively opportunity to spread the word about Nebraska produce and about the farm to school efforts you guys are already doing. So without taking much more of your time, we'll look at the next slide. Just a reminder that Nebraska Thursdays, Allie, if you're in control, you can move us forward. And Nebraska Thursdays registration is open. If you were a participant in 2019-2020, I encourage you to use the link there or the link that you're receiving in your email specifically to you to complete that end of year survey if you haven't already. It's a pretty quick survey. It does give me some good information for modifying or meeting the needs of schools. I know it's a challenging time to be thinking of doing this, so please put as little pressure on yourself as possible and know that we're here to help give you some fun materials and support your efforts in whatever way possible. So we'll continue to explore what we can do for that. We will be sending all registered Nebraska Thursdays schools a vinyl banner in the next month or two. Once we have that survey, it does close for schools that did participate last year. That survey will close September 15th. So get that done by then so that you don't have to go through the registration process again. Additionally, we have some new promo items. I mentioned this on the call last week, some recipes, and for everyone that's registered, the month of October, we'll be doing some Tower Garden giveaways courtesy from the Nebraska Drive-In Commission. So we're really excited. You'll be seeing some other stories coming out from some of the pilot schools and the work that's been done across the state on Nebraska Thursdays. And there we go. That's what I have. Thank you, guys.
Time to address any questions you might have. We'll ask Beth what's been entered into the chat box already. And if you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box and please put a question mark at the end. So Beth, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. If there is a waiver under the NSLP for multiple day feeding for students learning from home, that's part of their schedule. Yes, you can do that. And there is a waiver for that. It's in place. And can they pick up the lunches at school? That is up to you. Some schools are going to be sending it home with them for the, say if they're in school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're going to be gone Thursday, Friday, they're sending them there. And and if they're going to be, if they're in school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then they're sending Monday and Tuesday home with them on Friday. So it's, if you want to have them pick them up, that's fine too. You don't have to necessarily deliver. And Katie answered the question on the virtual learners. We're trying to get a answer from the regional office on the virtual learners that won't be in school at all. So they'd be like distance learners. We've had a lot of questions about bagging the silverware or wrapping the silverware, touching the milk cartons, the kids picking those up, and pre-packaged items or pre-portioned items. Most of us are in either the green or the yellow in those areas or in those levels. You may spread them out on a tray or somehow, maybe it's the bottom of the salad bar, whatever's easiest for you. But if you spread them apart so that the students can pick them up without touching another item, then you can do that. And you need to train the kids so they take the one that they grabbed the first time and not see something else that they think might be bigger. So you can do that. We talked about the vending machines being allowed as long as they are monitored.
Beth, I'll take this one. It says, if we suddenly have to bag lunches to go home to students because of high COVID numbers, can we use the summer feeding program nutrition requirements? And thank you, Linda, for asking that question. There is no waiver extension for parent pickup or non-congregate meals currently for summer. If the summer program would even be an option due to an unanticipated school closure. The only waivers apply to the school meals program for parent pickup and for mealtime flexibility. So an unanticipated school closure, USDA would have to grant those flexibilities, and there aren't any right now. So I hope that answers your question in that right now everything is being operated through the school meals program. And so it's claiming students by paid, free, and reduced. So we'll move on down. If there's other questions.
We've got one, are students still allowed to bring their own lunches? Yes, they may bring their own lunches. The school gets to decide if you're going to keep them with the other kids or if you're going to separate them. That's totally up to you. And then can donated garden items still be brought in or farm to school? And yes, both of those may be, you may accept both of those.
That doesn't really answer the question.
Well, you can still accept them and use them.
Okay, well, I was just saying that, I mean, as long as it's school lunches, like if I would make a sandwich or something for my child, that's acceptable?
You mean if you're a parent and you're sending in the food?
Yeah.
Yeah, families can still send their kids with a sack lunch home.
Okay, I thought you only said garden items, so I was just caught off guard.
Sack lunches are acceptable, but you guys get to decide if they're going to socially distance those kids or if you're going to keep them with everybody else.
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question was, can schools accept garden items from local gardeners?
From the gardener or farm to school.
Farm to school.
You can still do those items or those programs.
I think it should be acceptable. I mean,
the farm to school and the garden, they are.
Yeah.
Beth, there is a question about the question and answers from Mandy's session going to be emailed out. And yes, that is going to be emailed out. The COVID-19 frequently asked questions for food service professionals from the Department of Environment and Energy will be emailed to everyone. Plus it will be posted on our website too. So along with her session that she did.
And then this question comes from Jody. If we have students that we have sent home meals with, how do we monitor for if they're absent? If you have sent that meal home, you are counting that that student has received that meal. And I think that's what we're requiring, is that that meal has actually been sent to that child. The team, that's my understanding from what we just discussed today, correct?
I'd agree with you, Sean. If you've completed the point of service meal count at the time the meal was served, which could be for a following day or 2 days in advance, depending on what your school is doing as far as a rotating schedule or what have you with students, then that's as far as you need to go. It doesn't need to be a big issue if the child happens to be sick and for one day that you've provided meals doesn't end up participating in virtual or online learning. You've given them the meal and counted it at the time you saw them take it, and that's what you need to do.
Thanks, Katie. And then let's see what else we got. Kelly asked, our school is in a 3-year, it may be CEP, I'm thinking, a community eligibility provision for students to receive free meals. If their parents want to keep them home, do we deliver meals? That would be a school's decision. You know, parent pickup is allowed for meal distribution. If that is something that the school, you know, you have remote learners. So parent pickup is allowed. It doesn't say you have to deliver meals. And so, Kelly, if I didn't answer your question, please chime in and let me know. Beth, I'll let you take over.
Okay. We have students that use the microwave in the kitchen. How are we going to handle this year? If you don't have a microwave in the cafeteria, I would not suggest that the kids come back into the kitchen. If it is a home meal, I would not allow it. And if you do have a microwave in your cafeteria, the kids can use it. You just have to make sure you monitor and keep it clean and sanitized between each period. So if you have somebody, group 1 that comes in from 11 to 11:20, then you need to wash it and sanitize between that and the next one that comes in. But I wouldn't let anybody, you're supposed to be limiting the number of visitors in your kitchen, so that would not be a good thing to have the kids come in. Are there any other questions?
Feel free to unmute your mic.
I had a question at the very beginning about milk. We're delivering K through 6 to the classroom for breakfast and lunch. Do we need to offer them 1% and chocolate skim, or can we do like breakfast is 1% and lunch is chocolate?
Katie, I'm going to let you address that one, please.
Yeah, good question. I think it's a common question. And the way the waivers are written that we have now, the one specific to this that we thought might apply to the situation is the meal pattern flexibility waiver. And really, if you were able to demonstrate that you are providing or meeting the meal pattern requirements in a modified way where the focus is on maintaining safety and health as a use or application or a reason to use your modification or your proposed, different way of meeting the meal pattern requirements, then that's something we could consider approving, not saying we would. So if it's feasible for you to, meet the meal pattern requirements in a traditional way by offering the required milk variety, even if children are eating in the classroom and not all together in your typical lunchroom area, then that's something that you would need to try to do. So if it really came down to it and you had to make some extreme modifications related to health and safety, we could consider those for approval. So I just want to say, I guess that's kind of on a case-by-case basis. It depends on a lot of factors. And if you have reason to believe that you need to utilize that flexibility with regard to any of the meal pattern requirements, just reach out to us and we can talk with you about it to see if we believe that you could utilize the flexibility issued in that meal pattern waiver.
Great, thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
I have a question about the microwave usage. It's not necessary to make sure between student usage that it's cleaned out and sanitized?
Beth, you're on mute.
What most of the local health departments are saying is that you can do it between class periods, between the different lunch periods.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions before we end the Zoom? I know most of you are starting school or have started school. We are certainly available at Nutrition Services to answer any questions you may have as things come up. Any last chance for any questions before we sign off?
Our teachers have been used to bringing their food in the kitchen and using our microwave. Should we still allow that?
That is not recommended.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Good. Well, thank you very much for participating today. We will take a look at the polling responses and make some determinations about the frequency of serving up great school meals in the future. And we will see you next Wednesday, August 12th at 2 p.m. Thank you very much for joining us today.